Good evening and welcome to Global Lens News. I'm Sadia Afzal. The world has once again turned its attention to a question that goes far beyond Benjamin Netanyahu himself. Can an international court really force the arrest of a sitting leader? The debate resurfaced after New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani clarified that, despite his earlier campaign remarks, he has no legal authority to arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu if he visits New York. His statement has sparked fresh discussion about the power of the International Criminal Court, the role of the United States, and whether international law is truly enforceable. To understand this controversy, we first need to look at the International Criminal Court, commonly known as the ICC. Established in 2002 and based in The Hague, the ICC was created to prosecute individuals accused of the world's gravest crimes, including genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and the crime of aggression. Unlike the International Court of Justice, which hears disputes between states, the ICC prosecutes individuals. In November 2024, the ICC issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. The court stated that there were reasonable grounds to believe they bore criminal responsibility for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity committed during the Gaza conflict. Israel rejected the allegations completely, arguing that its military operations were conducted in self-defense after the Hamas attacks of October 7, 2023, and that the ICC has no jurisdiction over Israel because Israel is not a party to the Rome Statute. This is where international law becomes complicated. An arrest warrant issued by the ICC does not mean the court can send officers to arrest someone. The ICC has no police force. It depends entirely on countries that are members of the Rome Statute to execute its warrants. If a wanted individual enters the territory of an ICC member state, that country is generally expected to arrest and transfer the person to The Hague. Whether that happens in practice often depends on political will, diplomatic considerations, and domestic legal processes. The United States is not a member of the ICC. Successive American administrations from both major political parties have opposed the idea that the ICC should have jurisdiction over US citizens or officials from allied countries without their consent. As a result, the United States is not legally obligated to enforce ICC arrest warrants. That brings us to Zohran Mamdani. During his mayoral campaign, he said he would seek to have Netanyahu arrested if he came to New York. However, after taking office and consulting with city lawyers, he clarified that the mayor of New York does not possess the legal authority to execute an ICC warrant. Foreign policy, treaty obligations, and international criminal enforcement fall under the jurisdiction of the US federal government, not a municipal administration. Even the New York Police Department cannot simply arrest a foreign leader based solely on an ICC warrant without federal legal authority. There is another important factor. Foreign leaders traveling to New York for United Nations meetings may also receive legal protections and diplomatic privileges under international agreements governing the UN headquarters. These protections can further complicate any attempt to detain a visiting head of government. The Netanyahu case also raises questions about consistency in international law. Since the arrest warrant was issued, Netanyahu has traveled internationally. One of the most closely watched visits was to Hungary. Although Hungary was an ICC member at the time, it did not arrest him. The ICC later said Hungary had failed to meet its obligations under the Rome Statute. Hungary defended its decision and subsequently announced steps to withdraw from the court. This episode demonstrated the ICC's biggest weakness. It can issue warrants, but it cannot guarantee they will be enforced. Supporters of the ICC argue that even when arrests do not happen immediately, warrants still matter. They can restrict a leader's travel, increase diplomatic pressure, and signal that alleged violations of international humanitarian law will be investigated regardless of political status. Critics, however, argue that the court applies justice unevenly, lacks universal membership, and even often struggles to enforce its own decisions, particularly when powerful countries or their allies are involved. The debate surrounding Netanyahu has therefore become much larger than one individual. It raises fundamental questions about whether international institutions can function effectively without universal support, whether global justice is applied equally, and whether policies ultimately overrides law. For Zohran Mamdani, the issue has become a reminder of the limits of local political authority. Campaign statements may generate headlines, but the constitutional reality is different. A mayor cannot independently enforce international criminal law or direct US foreign policy. Then, controversy also highlights the complex relationship between national sovereignty and international justice. Countries remain sovereign, but international courts seek accountability for crimes that affect the global community. Balancing those two principles remains one of the greatest legal and political challenges of the modern era. Whether Benjamin Netanyahu is ever arrested under the ICC warrant remains uncertain. What is certain is that this case will continue shaping debates over international law, diplomacy, and accountability for years to come. It is no longer only about one prime minister or one court. It is about whether international legal system has the power to hold even the world's most influential leaders accountable, or whether political realities will continue to determine who faces justice and who does not.